You see this on the board, those three words: serpent, Satan, and devil. And students often ask me about evil characters in the Bible, especially when it comes to the Revelation. In Revelation, you have Satan, the devil, the beast, the dragon, lots of them. So let us discuss evil in the Bible. Evil in the Bible, evil characters in the Bible. Let me first tell you what are these characters. In the beginning of the Bible, we meet the serpent. The serpent is tempting Adam and Eve. And Adam and Eve succumb to temptation. So we may say that the serpent is surely an evil character. Then in the book of Job, we meet the Satan. Job is doing very well. He's a very faithful man. He believes that he deserves reward. But in spite of that, he is punished. He loses his family, he loses his business, he loses his health. And why? Because Satan challenges God and tells God that Job is faithful simply because he is well off. He is doing pretty well. But he says, strip him away from everything that he has, from his possessions, and he will curse you. And God says, okay, let's try and see what happens. So then the next one is the devil. We meet the devil in the book of Revelation. Then there is the Antichrist. The word Antichrist is mentioned twice, several times in the New Testament, in the letters of the Apostle John. And the book of Revelation is the only book in the Bible when all those evil characters merge into one gigantic evil being, the evil one. By the way, I forgot Lucifer. My Catholic students usually remind me of Lucifer. So let us briefly discuss all those characters and let's see the differences. And let's start with the serpent. According to the Christian interpretation, the serpent is the same as the Satan and the same as the devil. But in the Jewish tradition, the serpent is just the vehicle, the instrument of temptation. Yes, he is cunning. Yes, he is tempting. But as a result of this temptation, he is punished along with Adam and Eve. The serpent is not against God. Now, what about the Satan? The name Satan comes from the Hebrew root, a word that means an obstacle. The role of Satan in the Old Testament is to challenge humans. Satan is part of God's counsel. He's not against God. He's part of God's counsel, but he works there as kind of a prosecutor attorney. This is his function. He creates obstacles for human beings. But we know that in order to grow the character, you have to create more obstacles for the character, because otherwise the character will not grow. So in a way, Satan may be seen as a positive influence, because by creating obstacles, he helps those people overcome them and grow. Overall, in the Old Testament, there is no evil figure that can compete with God or is against God. Because according to biblical Judaism, God is omnipowerful. God is all-knowing, and therefore there is no one in the world that could present a challenge to the Almighty. Now, let's move on to the Christian part of the Bible. Let's talk a little bit about Lucifer. So, Lucifer means the morning star. He is the fallen angel. But if you read the Bible carefully, you will see that the name Lucifer never explicitly appears in the Bible. He is not in the Bible. There are some references in the book of Isaiah that were interpreted by Catholics as referring to Lucifer. And Lucifer basically belongs to the Catholic tradition, sacred tradition, rather than to the scriptures. Then, who is next? The Antichrist. Who is the Antichrist? The Antichrist, the word Antichrist appears only several times in the Bible in some of the most obscure letters written by John the Apostle. And the context for the word Antichrist is very different from what we now think of the Antichrist. The Apostle John talks about Gnosticism, Gnostic heresy. And Gnostics believed that Jesus was never human. He was only divine. So John says that if you meet a person who would deny the humanity of Jesus, then know that he is of the spirit of the Antichrist. So in other words, in the Bible, Antichrist means a person or people who deny the humanity of Jesus. Very specific meaning, but from this very specific interpretation we have a legend of this arch enemy of Jesus that would grow for centuries. And now we think about the Antichrist of this super evil being, super evil genius, a tyrant or a world leader who will seduce the nations, but who has a dark agenda on his mind, the Antichrist. Then the dragon and the beasts. In Revelation. So we have the four beasts that are worshipping at the throne of the judge in the so-called white throne judgment. These are the good beasts. They have the face of a man, a lion, an eagle, and an ox, I believe. And in Christian traditional interpretation, these are four evangelists, the authors of the four Gospels, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. Or, in another interpretation, these beasts represent various empires that are obedient to the judge. The dragon that shows up in some other chapters of Revelation is definitely an evil creature. It has 7 heads. It comes out of the sea. Its name is 666. And the whore of Babylon is riding this dragon.
Just because you said it, why is 666 a thing?
There are various numbers in Revelation. Some are used symbolically. Some are used in a different way. For example, 1260 or 666. So why is 666? Well, in the book of Revelation, this is the name of the beast. And to have the mark of the beast on your forehead is not a good thing, whatever that means. So scholars were trying to figure out what 666 means. And there are hundreds of interpretations. For biblical scholars, the most standard interpretation is that 666 translates into the Emperor Nero, because in ancient languages, every letter corresponds to a number. And the name of the Emperor Nero adds up to 666. So scholars believe that this was the way to show to people of that time, who would quickly realize that the guy meant Nero. Now, of course, we lost any connection to this cultural context. But the Emperor Nero was seen by Christians as the Antichrist, because he started the persecution of Christians. So Emperor Nero, that's one interpretation. But look, I've heard so many interpretations, including ridiculous interpretations. Reagan, his names were Ronald Wilson Reagan. Every name has 6 letters. So he was thought to be the Antichrist, 666. Or Jared Kushner, whose property in New York starts with 666 Fifth Avenue or something, etc. You choose for yourself. You know, once I went to the Chinese restaurant and I ordered some food, and the cashier told me that I owe $6.66. And even though she was a Chinese, but you know, 666 is such a bad number, it's considered to be such a bad number, that she says, oh, this is not good, give me 665. That's, that's how I received my apocalyptic discount. Okay. And finally, the devil. The book of Revelation is the only book in the Bible where all those evil characters merge into one gigantic evil being, the devil. The word devil comes from the Greek word diabolos, D-I-A-B-O-L-O-S, diabolos. And diabolos in Greek means the adversary, the enemy. So unlike Satan, the devil is the enemy of God, not of humans. And biblical scholars believe that the idea of the devil finds its way to Christianity from Persia, from Zoroastrianism. Remember, I told you that Zoroastrianism was a dualistic religion. They believed in the constant cosmic fight between the good principle and the evil principle, between Ahura Mazda and Angra Mainyu. So biblical scholars believe that Christianity was influenced by Zoroastrianism and developed a similar idea. The devil in the book of Revelation is not just challenging humans, he is the enemy of God. And his end is cruel, complete, and he ends up in hell in the book of Revelation.